Hello, I'm Sister Cecilia Joy of Franciscan Sister Christian Charity, and we're here today with two wonderful people. We're here with Dorothy Hargrave, who is the manager of admissions for Laboure Society, and we're also here with Brother Joseph, who is a member of the Dominican Order, the province of St. Albert the Great. So welcome, Dorothy and Brother Joseph.
Thank you, Sister Cecilia Joy.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, sister. It's a joy to be here today.
Yeah, and what's a really great thing is before we get to what Laboure is and all the wonderful things Laboure does, Brother Joseph, it's really great to meet him because he knows our sisters. He actually went, he grew up in Two Rivers, went to Ron Colley. So you have some sisters that you know. Do you want to give a shout out to any of your sisters?
Oh, of course, yes. So this morning, actually, before this talk, I was thinking about all the sisters that impacted me, and I wrote a little list of them down. So the first one that I met briefly was Sister Valerie. I think Lancaskey is her last name. She was my principal for her first few years, and then she was replaced by Sister Mary Lee Schomer, who just recently passed away a few weeks ago. A wonderful woman. I also remember Sister Carol Yuckham.
Yeah, Carol Yuckham, yep.
Yes, so she was wonderful, yeah. And Sister Jane taught me in high school. She taught science, chemistry, and
yeah, she's in the administration now, so that's exciting.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, right. And of course, Sister Mary Teresa Bettig, who's also an alumna of Roncalli. So I got to know her. And who else is on here? Sister Jackie and Sister Marie. And also my aunt is Denise Dax, who she cooks at the Mother House in Manitowoc. So a number of the sisters there know her. Yeah, awesome. So many connections. So that the sisters have a special place in my heart, and they've impacted me very significantly over the years.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Well, hopefully they'll watch the video and they'll send hellos your way and yeah. But Dorothy, so how did Laboure begin?
Sure. Thank you for asking. So the seed for Laboure actually was planted over 20 years ago when our founder encountered a woman who he was meeting with to give some, career counseling and guidance to. And she just mentioned in this meeting that she used to have a vocation. And he said, well, what do you mean you used to have a vocation? And she said, well, I have student loan debt. And by the time I pay it off, I'll be too old to enter the community I desire to enter. And he asked her, well, what if we could remove that obstacle? Would you still enter? And she said, in a New York minute. So he gathered together some benefactors, and they were able to raise the money to pay off her student loan debt. And then a couple years, later, he encounters another woman in the same situation. And again, he gets together some benefactors, they raise money, and they, helped her pay off her student loan debt. And so he thought, gosh, if these are two people who are willing to give their lives to the Lord, but they have this obstacle, how many more people exist? And he also thought too, if we as a church are praying for an increase in vocations, why are we not willing to help these men and women to move this obstacle so they can say yes? And sister, what's unique about these two encounters is that when our founder met these women, it was like 3 years apart from each other. These women did not know each other, but they both were wearing really large miraculous medals when they met our founder for the first time. And of course, it's St. Catherine of Laboure, who Our Lady appeared to, and obviously commissioned her to spread devotion to the miraculous medal. And so we say St. Catherine of Laboure chose us. And so, and also interestingly enough, St. Catherine of Laboure had some benefactors that helped her to pay her dowry so that she could enter into religious life. And that student loan debt is the modern equivalent of that same problem. So, that's how the seeds were planted for Laboure. We were officially established in 2003 as a nonprofit organization. And then in about 2011, the program that Brother Joseph went through, that's about the time that we started implementing that form of fundraising with our aspirants. And so that's a little bit of the history of how we were founded.
Oh, wonderful. That is really cool how the miraculous medal really played a part in it. And oh, wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
So how can someone apply for help through Laboure?
Right. So you can reach out to us directly at rescuevocations.org. Our contact information is there. You can also reach out to me, but we begin by just journeying with you and talking through your vocation journey, where you're at. It's not so much that you apply to be part of Laboure, but if you have to have journeyed far enough with the community where they're seriously discerning you and you're seriously discerning them, and you need to remove this obstacle of your student loan debt. So, and once you're at that place, that's when we can move forward. We need a letter of acceptance, or just a letter saying that you're seriously discerning with that community from the vocation director. And we need we'll give the potential aspirant a form to fill out, or excuse me, we'll have their pass on a form for a letter of recommendation from a spiritual director or from a priest or a pastor. And then also there's a couple other different level entry things that we need for them to move forward in our program. So, but it's really that acceptance of the aspirant by their community that allows them into our program, allows them to move forward.
So that brings in Brother Joseph, because Brother Joseph went through the process. You want to share about your vocation story and how the Laboure process went?
Certainly, yes, I'd love to. So as we shared in the beginning, I grew up in the Two Rivers, Manitowoc area and spent all the way until I was 18 there. And so the first religious I encountered were the Franciscan Sisters of Christian Charity, of course, which was a great gift to me. And Roncalli High School was established as a Christian Brothers high school, but while I was there, it was just kind of the idea of Christian Brothers. There were no more brothers there teaching anymore. So I kind of had the thought of what religious life for men could look like. Towards the end of my time in high school, I was just starting to pray about and be open to the idea of priesthood. And of course, for me then, all that could have meant was diocesan priesthood with the Diocese of Green Bay. But after I graduated high school, I went to the University of St. Thomas and I studied engineering there. And while I was there, I encountered some Dominican friars, and it just kind of like opened my whole world to what religious life for men looks like, in addition to what a diocesan priest could do. And it, in very short, looks too good to be true. Like I was so drawn to these men who were just living in this authentic joy, and I wanted what they had, and I couldn't figure it out for a while. And I was like, Father, why are you so happy? You know, and the more I figured it out, I was like, wow, it's just the gift of living that life. And so I was very drawn to it early on, and I fell in love with it. So right after I graduated, I wanted to join. And then, of course, today the cost of education is so very high, and I had student loans, and that was going to prevent me from joining. So fortunately, actually in a matter of days, I reached out to my vocation director. My vocation director directed me to Laboure, and then I spoke with Laboure, and they're like, oh, we have one spot left. Why don't you sign up? And then I went to a training 2 weeks later, and I started with Laboure right there. And that was incredible. It was like this huge weight that was lifted off of me, because I recognized I won't be able to enter because I have these loans. What can I do? And then the Lord answered this prayer. So it was a very beautiful gift, right? To be able to recognize that Laboure is there to help. And the Lord is calling me personally. He loves me personally to do this thing. And Laboure is helping this, and a number of other men and women too, which is a beautiful gift. So to have that comfort was certainly a huge foundation. And then the 6 months that I spent with Laboure doing fundraising for myself and a number of other classmates, men and women who were joining diocesan, to be diocesan priests or joining different religious communities, was a great source of inspiration. And I actually would I would track the start of my formation in religious life when I started with Laboure and not when I joined the Dominicans, because like Laboure really kind of prepared me for the consistency, for the discipline, for the outreach, the ministry, a lot of these things that we kind of take for granted as religious, that are really the foundation of the Laboure Society as well. So it was very formative in that regard also. And then of course the obvious is it helps me raise enough funds to pay off these student loans. And now I'm here wearing this habit and praising the Lord as a Dominican, which is a great gift.
That is beautiful. I'm glad God called you. That is so cool.
Yes, me too.
We are too.
Yeah.
We are so grateful for your yes.
So if someone wants to support someone like Brother Joseph, how do they give to Laboure?
So we actually have two different distinct fundings. We have our general fund, and then we have our aspirant award fund, and they're very distinct. So we have two people on staff who actually do fundraising for Laboure that helps to cover our overhead costs. So everything that, like Brother Joseph, when he went through our program, he did the work of Laboure, and all the aspirants, all that money is kept separately for them and it goes specifically towards student loan debt. So if you're interested in helping someone who's going through our program, you can go to rescuevocations.org, and there's a link to all the current aspirants in our class. And if you would like to help us with our general fund, you would contact Bill Lemire. He is our Director of Advancement, and his number is 651-295-2548. You can also go to rescuevocations.org, and there's a blue button on top that says giving options. And so you can also give online as well.
Wonderful. So someone wanted to call, you said Bill?
Bill Lemire.
Lemire, and his number is 651-295-2548.
That is correct.
Awesome. I'll put that in the info.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. So just to give some general advice for people who are starting their vocations, do you have any advice for people who might be wondering, I have all the student loan debt, but I really feel called, do you have any hopeful words for them?
Yeah, I think the word you just said, hope, is kind of the advice I would give. Like, there is hope. Like, it can be very daunting, especially as you had, the way you framed it is, if I've discerned a religious vocation or priestly vocation and I have all the student debt, what do I do? Well, I think I would say that there is hope, right? Like, God in his beauty and his goodness calls us individually to do a number of things. Some of us religious, some of us priests, and some of us married, some of us single, and all these beautiful complementing roles that we have. And we can trust in that. So we know that each of us has this beautiful gift that we've been given, which is our vocation. And he's led us this far to understand what that looks like. So the hope that comes with that is, well, then of course God is going to continue leading me. He's not going to stop me at this point. Now that I'm here and I'm like, okay, well, I have this obstacle and now God's gone. Like, he's going to lead me through this obstacle. And that for me was Laboure Society, and that hope is there. And Laboure helps with that hope. They help alleviate that obstacle and actually makes it challenge, which actually makes it a source of growth. And it's a beautiful thing. So the advice I would give is that there is hope. If somebody has discerned this far with God, God will stay there with you. He will stay until your entrance. He'll stay with you until the day you die. I mean, like, we know this is our faith. It's a beautiful thing, but it can feel daunting, right?
I would agree. And trust is really key in this process as well. And just everything that Laboure has to offer in terms of, you are not walking alone in this journey. And you have the support of the staff members. We assign a mentor to you that's going to help you throughout this process. And so you are not alone. And I think too, when the men and women come through the Laboure program, they realize that in a deeper way, because they do this work together as a class, and they are collectively raising these funds together. And so you have the support that's built into this program, and not just the staff and the mentor that's assigned to you, but your classmates as well. And so, so just know that you are not alone, and the Lord is with you. And God willing, we would love to help, anyone out there who's listening to this podcast who is even just thinking about a vocation. It's not too early to reach out to Laboure just to even get some initial information. So if the door opens in that direction, you already know, okay, Laboure is here and I can move forward.
That's very good advice. So if anyone out there is discerning a vocation, and whatever process you're on, as you mentioned, part of the process you're on, you can go to rescuevocations.org, and then I'll put that in the video comment link, so we'll have easy access to it. So thank you so much, Dorothy and Brother Joseph, for being with us today.
Thank you, Sister Cecilia Joy.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you. It was a joy.
Yeah, of course, joy everywhere.
That's right.
Right.
But thank you everyone for watching, and have a blessed day. Bye everyone.
Thank you.